really hard as of late to really get a lot of good war games in because, as you can see, they've been deprecated. But I think I have found a decent game. Alright, so we have a match between the blue NATO player, Eisenvolk, and the pack player, Free Elo for 1750, which I think is actually Darricks, and he just renamed his account to this. So Eisenvolk is a top 10 player now, and he's kind of an up-and-comer. He might be someone that might have heard of before, but might have just renamed his account just like Darricks did. Unfortunately, Darricks has sort of just fallen off the radar and is completely untrackable right now because of this name change. Unless he's in fact Eisenvolk. So, we'll just speed this up a little bit. The map. What do we have here? Well, this is not a new map, as you can see. You have the 2 entry points here, which you should capture right away. And then you have the option of going for golf or pushing into Echo Delta. As I've been saying a lot of times, the higher the point value of the point, the more valuable it gets. So this one will give you 4 points per second, this one 2, this one 3, and this one 1. The points also indicate how easy it is to obtain. So here from Darricks, we have some TO-55 flamethrowers, some T-55s, lots of tanks. I guess tanks really have become popular again after the big buff they got for veterancy. We have some Scots, so he's still doing a little bit of a Scot rush here. It's like a Scot rush support with tanks, and so you have BTR. So with these vehicles here, they're really cheap, so you can use them as soakers for damage, and all the while you have all your big guys doing the real damage. And from our blue player, what do we have here? We have Mardar Roland anti-aircraft. We have some Leopard 2As, which is becoming surprisingly popular as of late. The Fuchs, which have some, slightly profane names. Infantry carriers. Looks like a lot of anti-air actually. Zippos, anti-air. I think this. Okay, so I think he's gonna keep this group here in this base, and then these guys will move out and secure Foxtrot, and then they'll put a position on Echo or Delta, one or the other. What we have from Alpha here, from our from Free Elo, I guess we'll call him now. Really prefer to call him Darricks, and he's moving out. Looks like he's moving these up just for initial scout to get the infantry in there, and not really seeing any extra commands. So this might be a little bit all in. I'm not sure this is intended. He's got his forces split amongst 2 travel routes, and we have T5. So with the Scots, if you're new to the game, what you do is you'll run them into the enemy line, and you will not unload until you are within yards, because the infantry inside have RPGs and grenade launchers. RPGs being rocket propelled grenades, which are basically just rockets, and grenades will all do heavy tank damage. And these guys will trade insanely effectively against tanks, vehicles, other infantry, a lot of stuff. The only problem is that they have a very poor range. They can only really deal insanely damage from, say, like this to this. So you have to kind of get this kind of range of closeness. So we have our first encounter kind of happening here. We have transport helicopters as well going for a flanker on the back, but that's already covered by Eisenvolk, who, like I said, I don't think he's actually Darricks. I think Free Yellow is probably Darricks. So we do have a scout helicopter going to try and pick off some of these Scots. He should probably pull the scout helicopter back though, just because these Scots. Oh, it looks like the Scots are peeling off into the woods, and we have one charging forward to try and pick off the recon helicopter, which is wisely pulling back. We have 2 Scot vehicles coming along this side. So this is if this is all in, this is a really bizarre all in, because he's very much spreading his forces into a very powerful arc and hitting from various angles, looks like. The one Scot will try to come up and catch the recon, but it looks like it will get picked off by these Leopard 2As and made by these Martyrs over here. So the motor streak will have been dropped off, and they will find a position in the woods here. Just a nice little spot to sort of get access. Still haven't seen what he's doing with the extra command he had. because he still hasn't really put it in play, and maybe he's just waiting for the opening maneuver to go away, or maybe just pulled out his opening. Yeah, he might have actually deleted it and went for some more. Oh, there it is, just kind of sitting here, and it's just smart. When someone's doing something that's very all-inish like this, the first thing you don't want to do is put it in a point here. Because two things happen. One, you start reinforcing from here, and obviously he's going to try and cut off your reinforcements. The second thing that kind of happens is that he's going to all-in you, and you're going to lose this, and it's worth 200 points. So, let the opening maneuvers happen. If he rushes into you, fine. You'll just, beat him on a defensive war, and then move this in position. But he's now going in for a position in this because nothing has basically happened. Free Elo, or Darricks, is playing a very unusual game here. He's spreaded out a lot of what would normally be considered cheesemobiles thin. He's also purchased Command, and he's taken Echo, which give him a very significant advantage in the game, because this will allow him to get more points. So we have a small count going on here. We have some recon vehicles, and 2 Yagars against Moto Strakos. The Yagars might be able to clean this up. It's hard to tell. They are running in, which gives them... No, it looks like they will clean this up. Now when your vehicles move, the aim exterior to cover, and they actually have infantry in them as well. When you start running, you actually lose accuracy. So if you don't have high veterancy units, you're in trouble. And you can see in the woods here, the Augurs are a little bit in trouble. They're not really moving into attack. The AMXs are getting picked off surprisingly well, and the Shaso Shamas are forced to evacuate. The Augurs are finally in position. We're probably going to clean this up right now. It's just a thing about the vision in the woods is actually pretty terrible. And so that little flank there cleaned up. There's still a single VDV rifle squad, which I'm not too experienced with, and I don't know too much about these. They look pretty anti-tank to me, though. And what looks like there's some artillery. There's also Cobra positioned over here, and it's in trouble. There's also Scott in the woods here, so Darricks' plan is definitely paying off. He has definitely got the better resource, he has the better position, and he has his forces spread out very, very well to cover a lot of flanks. And so we have the T-55s, the Fuchs 2 are coming in to try and pick up something, but there's also some Pietro Z-Marks here, so that will block this, and he's forced to unload the Augars preemptively. He did get the Z-Marks, but unfortunately it wasn't quite the fair trade. Free Yellow got a really great position, and these cheapo T-55s also going to pick off this Fuchs here, which is forced to retreat. Maybe he might be able to get it away. Who knows? So yeah, definitely not the most boring game we've seen in a long time. Stuff sort of always happening, small little micro moves, small little decisive moves. I think he's hitting the forest. He doesn't actually see this, and now he's totally forced to run. He's got a major fuel leak, which means that he'll be running out of fuel very quickly, and you see on the bottom there, down here, that the fuel is just ejecting. So this is a pretty big supply cost as well. And unfortunately, he only has the 1 FOB to start with. Look over here. Yeah, he only has 1 FOB himself. Or does he even have 1? Doesn't look like he has any at all. I think he's just... this is a different style of play. You just purchase supply trucks, and you can use the supply trucks as scouts. You can feed them to the enemy and kill the enemy. And you can see, like, he's just got a really good balanced cover here. He has Scots, motor Strakos, all over the place, just covering every single inch. He's got a nice balance of tanks in certain locations, the Tunguska aircraft. The coverage here is not the best. This one can only hit probably about this area here, and so this flank is pretty vulnerable to air attack. Maybe something for him to consider later. But overall, like, really good cover here. He's got motor Strakos, just everything covered. This is a pretty standard cheese build, and he's using it quite effectively, spreading it all across the map. The Leopard 2A4, there's only 2 of them though, coming across to try and pick off this T-55, no, the TO-55, the flamethrower tank. And up here, will he figure out the VDV? I don't think so. So it's still anyone's game, still a fairly close game. People pick-packing back and forth. Let's speed this up a bit. Oh, looks like we have some... Is that artilleries? Yes, the Dana artilleries. which have become increasingly popular. Just shelling out this position here. Artillery in this matchup doesn't look like it'll be most effective just because of how spread out both sides are. And he is pulling back his Leopard TA4s, which is not the best move. Unfortunately, tanks can kind of just take artillery fire. And we have just random shots everywhere. Shots that somehow did get picked off by the woods here. No big change there. And the randomness of these shots is actually kind of bad. So one of the big problems here is he has artillery. He's okay, he's moving them now. But he doesn't have a lot of supply because he doesn't have a FOB. Like, if you get artillery, you almost need an FOB. It's almost required. So he's trying to move the artillery up just a little bit closer to the front. And the closer they get to the front, the more precise their shots will be, and the better they'll hit. So we do have some Motostrikos, some Scots, all in the woods here, ready to pick off any reinforcements that hit, and these poor vehicles streaming along this road. It's like a nice little carrier, and oh, looks like he knows about it. He's going straight for the woods, and I don't know if this will be enough to take this out. You should probably pull a nice substantial force to deal with this. We have the Cobra here engaging the Scot, so he's going to pick that off for free. Scots, of course, have no anti-air capabilities, only their cargo does. And he's trying to create a nice little surround here to create this Motostriko. He's got 2 of these points that he really has to capture, but there's a lot of reinforcing officers here. We have over here an ambush of Tunguskas and aircraft just pushing these guys to the back. This is definitely not the best day to be Eisenvolk, as Motostrikos are going to finally get picked off. This tactic is very common. Pretty much everyone blocks off the supply of another guy. And it looks like my volume went up again, so let's quickly change that. Okay, so apparently this new special viewer they have, they won't let me change the volume. Oops. Alright, that sucks. So I'm sorry if the gunshots are a little bit loud. Sorry if you can't hear me. I'll try to yell and shrill like a little girl. We have action ramping up here again, as these Jagers have now become Motostriko hunters. Motostrikos are not quite high in veterancy, not quite high in health, and not really able to engage this directly. There's 3 Jagers against 1 Motostriko, only one more Motostriko supporting here. He's trying to move this Motostriko into a position where he can kind of pick off anything he can. We have artillery coming down here on 2 Jagers. Might turn the tide of the battle, but it doesn't look like it isn't. In fact, I think he just hit his own unit there. Is there friendly fire in this game? I have no idea. I always suspected there was, though. Just because the game has an anti-griefing policy for friendly fire. And the Jagers are getting cleaned up by the artillery surprisingly well, and those were very expensive. He's invested extensively in maintaining this path of reinforcement, but unfortunately it's cut off from this line of T-62s, Mi-8 helicopters, we're just going to call them helicopters, Scots, and Flamers. And there's really not a lot that you can do with this right now without really moving a large portion of his line to deal with this. Darricks, or Free Elo, playing this very, very well. This is a very strong opener. The idea is spread your forces across the flank, cover, so you can, get expansions. He expanded here, the Mr. Charlie gives him a further advantage. He's going for all the high point positions. And he's also picking off forces. So, if you're in Eisenvolk's position right now, what can you do? Well, the thing is, if he has all his units over here, what's here? What's here? There actually isn't that much here. It wouldn't be all that crazy for him to move up a large portion of his forces and take Echo. Now, I do have the Motostriko still cutting off forces, still being annoying, and the woods actually give a very significant bonus to sneak damage or whatnot. You get this in a lot of games. He's trying to create these flanks wherever he can, and you can see by comparison, actually he doesn't have it. Usually what a good player will do is put like a single infantry here, just a spot for whether he's trying to cut off supplies, and unfortunately it looks like Eisenvolk is in a very tight position. Players do not want to be stuck in this position at all. It is the one where you have to act or die. So he is moving up his forces to try and take this position. He has the anti-tank on Milans, which are infantries, moving into position to try and wipe out some tanks, and he's just going for a big push. Now, this big push will decide pretty much the entire game. If this push is successful, and he can get 100, 150 points off of this, he's back in the game. If this push fails, then unfortunately he will fall very, very far behind, and he will be in great trouble. So we'll see what the T-55s winding up for their first volley. The Marauders are moving in. These are very cheap, very effective infantry vehicles. When you get these, you want to have high veterancy. And, oh, I got a sneeze. Ooh, that was quite the sneeze. He did pick off those T-55s, which are unfortunately very inexpensive tanks. The Marauders are coming in, the T-62s picking off. We have a big, big, big surround here. And he realizes that he's kind of in a tight spot here. He has to hit one side of this only. He can't run straight through the middle, or they will all hit towards them. So we do have what looks like some artillery fire here, some M1008Ds, which are basically like, for me it seems like NATO's only real choice for artillery. Any kind of that model number. And yeah, it looks like this push has been pushed off, and he in fact fell further behind. He's now a full 400 points behind, and now it's just going to be an exchange of artilleries. This poor command is forced to run. It is an armored command, so it can take a few hits, but it will get crushed. So this puts Darricks in a really good position. He has 1, 2, 3 bases to the Juan base, and if you look at the map, it's a very, very rouge map. There's not a lot of blue. So really Eisenvolk is going to have to do something really special to get out of this one. So looking, we got lots of supply coming in, and this is all part of Darricks' style of play. He purchases colos, and then he kind of just stockpiles them in the corner here because he doesn't want to lose them. What he could do as an alternative is, a lot of times it's pretty easy to find a way to give them away and destroy them. And so the Leopards are moving into an ambush. Leopards are very expensive too. So he's lost one of them, and no, that was like 150 points. So he's got to really be careful with these Leopards. When you move Leopards in, you need padding. Yaggers in the bushes, fighting, trying to get these motor strigils out. T-55s over here, not pointing in the right direction though. They're going for something else. And looks like these Yaggers will be pretty effective. They will take out the motor strigil in this building here, and that's really the only unit here that covers these tanks. So if he can get these Yaggers against these tanks, he can do very, very well. I know it sounds a little bit backwards, considering that most games it's not the case, but we do have artillery fire pounding this location, trying to finish off these Yaggers, and it looks like it's going to be very close. The motor strigils are in fact going to survive. So yeah, that is actually game. Game goes to 1500. So thank you guys for watching, and join me next week for another great war game.